Egyptian dance was originally created as a fertility ritual. Okay? As a dance that helped pregnant women give birth. And that celebrated the body of the woman as the creation symbol. Okay, this is me. I love this beautiful tool that I was given. And I am going to discover the pleasure in it. And I am going to discover the potential in it. And I'm going to discover the joy in it and the creativity in it. And I'm going to discover in each movement my identity in this unique body. This is the job of an Egyptian dance teacher. So being thin or being round or being square or being tall or being, it is so secondary and it is so not the point, you know? Yeah. Another idea that is usually associated with Egyptian dance, it is that it exists to seduce men.
I used to think if I couldn't find hope, I should just let it all go. I used to think if I couldn't make dreams come true, I should just let them all go.
So let's talk about some myth busters for belly dancing. You know, as in India also, it is really catching up. I see a lot of girls and women pursuing this as a hobby or as an extracurricular activity. You know, but then people think that only thin girls can pursue it, and so I don't know. Are there any myth busters pertaining to belly dancing?
Thin girls? Here's something interesting. Egyptian dance is, for many reasons, perhaps the dance that I know that is surrounded by most false ideas and myth and prejudices and stories and fantasies and projections. It's very interesting, you know. I'm going to tell you something fun. A few years ago, I was very tired and I wanted to take vacation, right? So I thought, okay, I want to take vacation, but I want to do something productive. So I applied for a writing course at Oxford in the UK, which is not your typical vacation at all because you're not going to rest. I was in a program, creative writing program, and I had to work every day, closed in a college, in the college.
Yeah.
When the dean of the college discovered who I was and what I did, he came to me. I'm talking about a highly educated person, okay? Someone who has traveled the world, who has seen everything. He came to me, whispering, asking me about Egyptian dance. As if it was something, you know, out of this world and very naughty and very strange. Yeah. And he asked me to perform for the college, but in a very funny, naughty, almost secretive way. Well, first of all, I told him, you know, I came here not in the condition of a professional dancer. I came here to rest from dance. I came here, you know, to study writing because I love Oxford and I love being in a college. So I'm not in the mood to work. You know, I came here to disconnect. So I'm sorry, but I'm not going to perform this time. I came here to be in another world.
Right.
But I was curious why he felt so excited, almost like, you know, with almost head off, and while he was talking to me about Egyptian dance. And then as the news spread through the college, I had very interesting conversations about what people thought Egyptian dance was. And I'm talking about, again, highly educated people. So I was surrounded by perhaps the most educated people I've ever been with, okay? So they were doctors in literature and doctors in chemistry and all of them from Oxford, people who had a brain. And when they spoke to me about Egyptian dance, they were naughty children talking about something forbidden. I thought that was fascinating. And this is something that I find around Egyptian dance stubbornly. So there are many ideas surrounding Egyptian dance that make no sense. The body type is one of them. So in Egypt, there is a beauty standard that is very connected to fertility. We're talking about a country where women are valued for their procreation and wife duties, right? I mean, we're talking about societies where women are supposed to be born to get married and to give children to their husbands. So the beauty standard in Egypt is very much in the flow of this idea, very limited idea, obviously, very, very small-minded idea, but still, it's what people think about in most of the cases about women. And how a woman should look in Egypt is very much in the flow of procreation and sensuality for the man. So that means curves. That means good breasts, good hips, you know. Egyptian dance in Egypt and the look of Oriental dances in Egypt are inside of this beauty standard. Round bodies, ultra feminine bodies, a lot of sensuality, long hair, you know, this almost exaggerated femininity.
Right.
Outside of Egypt, depending on the country, you will find different beauty standards. But in reality, when you go to a good Egyptian dance teacher, she or he has a job to do. And it starts with showing you everybody is different and everybody is beautiful. The job of an Egyptian dance teacher is not to show you, look, this is how you should look.
Yeah.
That's not my job, and that's not an Egyptian dance teacher's job. Their job, aside from teaching you the dance, the culture behind the dance, and all the parallel subjects that I believe are part of the training of an Oriental dancer, their job, in my opinion, is to allow you to look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, this is me. I love this beautiful, beautiful tool that I was given. And I am going to discover the pleasure in it. And I am going to discover the potential in it. And I'm going to discover the joy in it and the creativity in it. And I'm going to discover in each movement my identity in this unique body. This is the job of an Egyptian dance teacher. Anybody who tells you have to look like that, does not know what they are speaking about. And they are not, in my opinion, making a good service to the art of Egyptian dance that really celebrates the body in all of its glory and diversity. So being thin or being round or being square or being tall or being, it is so secondary and it is so not the point, you know. Another idea that is usually associated with Egyptian dance, it is that it exists to seduce men.
Yeah, I was about to say, because in Indian cinema also, in Bollywood, you know, it's shown as entertainment for men. You know, girls dancing in bars, seducing men, men having good time, throwing money on them. So yeah.
Exactly, yeah. You know, first of all, in Egypt, just like in different Arabic and North African countries, the tradition of throwing money over the dancer's head or in different parts of her body, it also exists. I never allowed it to happen in one of my shows. Everybody I worked with knew I would kill anyone who would dream about it, because I think it's very humiliating and it is not professional at all, and it doesn't look good on anybody, not on the dancer, not on the orchestra. It's just outdated, absolutely outdated. So I wanted to offer this side note here. Now, there is this idea that Egyptian dance is made to seduce. You have this idea built throughout history in many different ways, okay? So there are periods of Egyptian dance history where we don't really know what was happening, how the dance was used for. We don't know because there are no accounts. Even today in Egypt, if you search for literature related to Egyptian dance, you will not find it. You will not find it. Not like in India. In India, you have a lot of literature about Bharatanatyam, Kathak, Odissi. You have so much information because Indian culture respects classical Indian dances. They see these dances as objects of study, academic study. Egypt does not see the dance as an academic subject. They communicated orally from generation to generation. So there are a lot of time, a time lapse where we don't know how Egyptian dance was practiced in Egypt because there are no records of it, no records. So you have ancient pharaonic Egypt, and all you have is sculptures and walls with carved dances and musicians, but it's all very blurred and it is not clear how the dance was being used. Of course, we know at the time pharaonic dance was used for ritualistic purposes. Okay. And we also know, as all the proof, that is not much, but the proof that exists indicates that Egyptian dance was originally created as a fertility ritual. Okay? As a dance that helped pregnant women give birth. And they celebrated the body of the woman as the creation symbol.
Could be good for me. Lately I was feeling like I need a purpose.
Even today in Morocco, you have the tradition of women doing Oriental dance, what we call belly dance or Egyptian dance or Raqs al-Sharqi. They do it while a woman is giving birth. So they build a circle, they have the woman who is giving birth at the center, and they will help her give birth by dancing and inviting her to dance with them.
It's stimulating. Yeah.
It stimulates the womb, it stimulates the hips, it helps the baby come down, and it helps you surrender to the state of birthing. So this is the origins of Egyptian dance. And from the origins to the moment that we have right now, there are, as I told you, many periods where we don't know what was happening and how the dance was being used. But when we start to have accounts of Egyptian dance performed in Egypt, we have accounts of two categories of dancers. One were the awalem, the other ones were the khawazi. The awalem were troops of dancers, were also musicians, poets. They were very organized and more professional, and they only danced inside of the women's quarters. They did not dance in front of men, and they did not dance in public places. The Hawazi were the gypsy dancers, and they did dance everywhere. In exchange for a quarter, you know? So, and they also worked as prostitutes on the side. There was an association between dancing and prostitution and dancing in front of men. So I remind you, Egypt was not always Muslim. Egypt is much older than Islam, but it has been an Islamic country for centuries. So we're talking about the 19th century, 19th century, when we have the first accounts of foreigners who traveled to Egypt and watched these dances. Some women who watched the awalem in the women's quarters, and some men travelers who watched the hawazi in public. So this is where the idea of Egyptian dance as a seducing art form comes from. We have men describing the hawazi in a very lewd and also exaggerated fashion. We have the first painters that later on became known as Orientalist painters, French mostly, but also English painters, who started to fantasize about the things they didn't even see. So you have a lot of representations of dancers half naked, supposedly Oriental dances that were a product of the imagination of the painters, not a product of reality. Also, there is, unfortunately, a misuse of the dance. So Egyptian dance is sensual. It doesn't mean it is for seduction. So when I dance, I have two options. I do it to enjoy myself, and as a performer, I can tell you that when you enjoy yourself, your audience will enjoy. So this is an indirect way of giving them pleasure, which is I'm not dancing to seduce you, but if I have pleasure while I'm doing it, you're gonna feel it through me. Or I use the dance to seduce. That's a decision. That is not in the dance, that is in the dancer and the intention this dancer is using when she's dancing. So it drives me nuts, really, when people tell me, no, but Egyptian dance is for seduction and it's seductive. I tell them, no, any dance can be for seduction. Look, I've studied Argentinian tango. It is highly seductive, highly seductive. I studied the classical ballet contemporary jazz. There are so many pieces of contemporary dance or jazz that are so seductive, so sensual, so openly sexual. Oh my God. Any kind of dance, if used for a certain purpose, will work. You know, I can do any kind of dance with a seductive purpose, and it will work. The thing is not the dance itself, it's the way we are using the dance and what I want to achieve with my dance. So before we put the seductive stamp on Egyptian dance, let's acknowledge it is not the dance. It is the dancer who decides what she or he wants to do with that dance. So when I teach my students, for instance, and I taught Egyptian women as well, something that was interesting, very interesting. The first thing I make clear is that we are all on the same place, that we understand My job is not to teach them how to seduce their husband or how to be exotic or how to, that's not my job.
Right.
My job is to teach them the real thing. And then they can use it for whatever they like. I mean, everybody's free, right? I mean, who cares?
Up to their imagination.
Yeah, of course, but it's not my job to teach you how to be seductive or exotic or wear veil, and that's all part of our imaginary, of our fantasies, of this narrative that has been built throughout centuries around Egyptian dance. But the dance itself remains untouched, and it remains pure, and that is the love of my life. And this is what I keep teaching and doing and writing about and speaking about. So when I teach Egyptian dance, it's so much more about teaching a woman how to enjoy herself. And there is nothing sexier than that. You don't even consider, or you don't even focus, oh, I will learn how to be sexy. No, you don't. You are naturally sensual because you are a human being, and we are also sexual beings. That's part of our existence. We are multidimensional creatures. We are not just physical. We are not just emotional. We're not just mental. We're not just spiritual. We're not just sexual. We're all of that.
Right.
And what Egyptian dance does, if properly taught, is to make you aware of all those dimensions and to make you aware of something that most women don't know. Your body exists primarily for your own joy. Without this base, nothing of wonderful can be achieved. Your body is there for your own joy. First of all. Yes. And then you can share pleasure. You can give pleasure. You can receive pleasure. All of that is wonderful, and it's part of our human interaction. But when you learn Egyptian dance, I mean, authentic Egyptian dance, no monkey business, no ignorance, no myth or prejudices attached. What it comes down to is really how to come back to my body and how to recover not only the creative potential of this beautiful tool, but the pleasure, the joy, and the strength, the fire that I can awaken in my body through the dance. And this is why, or one of the reasons why Egyptian dance is so magical, I've seen the worst and the best of this dance. Poonam, sometimes people ask me, you're not fed up with it? Are you not tired of it? Because, I worked in Cairo for 8 years. So after that first period that I told you about, I went back to Cairo when the law was removed. I selected musicians myself from the street, literally. I knocked on people's doors. I made my auditions. I conquered my first contract. I built my name from my sweat every day. And I started to see, because I was alone, there was no intermediaries, right? I started to see the best and the worst of Egyptian dance. So I saw all the corruption, the prostitution deals, the producers who give you great opportunities, not only for dance, but for cinema, for instance. So I have a million stories about that too, and all the dark side of Egyptian dance, I had to deal with it firsthand. No buffer, no intermediaries, nobody to sugarcoat anything. I was shocked on a daily basis because I had a big dream, but I also have values. And I was not able or willing to give up my values or disrespect myself as a woman in exchange for fame. That was not the reason why I went to Egypt. And I didn't come to Egypt to make myself famous and lose my soul in the process. I went to Egypt also to build me as a woman.
Right.
And that has a lot to do with saying, no, thank you, no. I'm a woman. I am not your servant. I am not a prostitute. I am not something you can buy. I am a woman. This was a lot of my journey. So I saw so much of the dark side of Egyptian dance, and throughout the years, I love it more and more and more and more. And people think that's strange. How can you love it so much when you have seen everything, And I love it so much, first of all, because it can really be the most beautiful thing you will ever see in your life.